Hey, so check this out. So what you'll see happen there is we submitted a request. It came into the system and it was marked as paid social along with a priority score and a bunch of other details for the classification of this marketing campaign. That's exactly what we're going to be building today. We're going to be building that first field agent that helps to classify the request type. And the future videos that we're going to be doing on this will take us through some of the other ones that have to do with creating a priority score and all of the other things around the audience. This means no manual tagging, no one having to remember to classify the campaign. Remember, this is happening all automatically within your Airtable system. Hi, I'm Andrew from SimpleStack, where we help businesses get automated through integrations, apps, and portals. And today we're looking at Airtable AI field agents. This is the first video in the series. You may have seen the overview prior to this. And so I'm super excited to show you the power of Airtable. We're going to be building this from scratch, starting with the Airtable base, the form, and the very first classification agent for request type. This is our Airtable base that is already fully built out. And by the way, there's a link to a template for this in the video. So feel free to download that or copy that and follow along. But we're going to be building this from scratch because that's the easiest way to learn. So I'm going to be jumping over here to a brand new Airtable base that hasn't had a single thing built in it yet. And we're going to build it from scratch together. Before we build anything at all, I want to explain something that's going to make the performance of this agent much better, which is that we are going to create one field for the description and one field for the audience on the form. Now you could have just a giant field where you describe the description of the campaign and the audience, but then you are expecting your agent to be able to gather all of that context with what's put there and decide which one is which and do some of that thinking. And by separating them out, we make it a lot easier for the agent, and the reliability of that AI agent goes way up. So we're going to start creating our fields here in a moment. And to do that, we're going to go over to forms. And if you've never done this before, we're going to build it ourselves. We're going to start with this table 1. This form is going to be a new campaign request. This is the form that people will be filling out as part of the submission of their campaign. And you'll see that we have a single field on here called name. You'll see that we only have one field in our table here. And I'm going to rename this table campaign requests. So the first field that we're going to build, and we can actually do it here from the form by clicking this blue plus. I'm going to go with just a single line text field. This is going to be called the requester. Okay, so this is how someone's going to tell us who they are. The second field that we're going to fill in here is going to be the campaign description, and we're going to use long text. Go ahead and add that one. The third field is going to be the target audience. It's just a single line text. The fourth field is going to be estimated budget. We're going to make this a currency field. Rid of the zeros. The fifth field is going to be the launch deadline. Go ahead and select a date for that. This will give them a date picker when they go to fill that out. And that's it for the form. So that's all I'm going to add here for now. Now, one thing to note with this is that I'm not adding the request type and a bunch of those AI fields yet. Okay, these are just the fields that we're expecting someone to fill out as part of their campaign request submission. Now you can do a lot of things with the styling and stuff here, and I'm not going to get into that now. This is really just the backend tutorial for how to wire this all up properly. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the grid view, and you'll see that since we were creating a bunch of form fields, we now have a bunch of fields here. Okay. Now this very first field that says name, we're going to actually rename this to request name. And this is going to serve as what in a database language is called a primary key. We want to make it unique for everything that's submitted. So we'll use a formula in a moment to do that based on the information in these different fields, okay? Now, that's not something you necessarily have to do, but it's database best practice, and so I'm going to mention it and show you how to do that here. So you'll see we have those columns for the form in there now, and now we're going to add just one more field, and this is the request type select field. This is essentially the output that the request agent is going to write into. And what we're going to do before we configure the agent is to add the select options. And these are the option names in the field that we need to match our output. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how you would configure this as a field before it becomes a AI field. So a single select field allows you to basically create an option where only one of the options on the list can be selected. And you can specify what those options are, okay? Now, we're going to call this request type. We're going to add those options now. So we have paid social, we have email, we have content / I think it was SEO, we've got events, I've got partnerships, and we have brand. Now, it's important that this follows the proper formatting, and I think we're all set to go. So you'll see that if I was to create this field now, that this is basically the old way that you would do this is you would get a submission from the form, and then someone would come in here to classify, oh, that's a paid social request, as an example. So now that we have the request type set up as a single select, we can now change this or convert this into a field agent. And that's why it was important to just get these options set up ahead of time. It makes it a little easier for us. I'm going to go ahead and click convert. So you see now what this is it's giving us an area to do our prompt. And I'm going to show you how to do that. We can choose our model, enable internet search, run automatically. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but it also kept our options of output that we want. And now all there is left to do is to create the prompt in a way that is easy for us to have it classify into these different options. So the first thing that we're going to configure is the trigger. And we're going to set it to run when the record is created. So that's actually going to be this toggle here to run automatically. Otherwise, it gives you a button that you would have to press in order to run the AI agent. So no separate automations or anything needed here. Just toggle that on. Now the prompt. I'm going to paste this in rather than type it live, and then I'll explain it. Let's talk about what is in this prompt, and then I'll talk about this field, invalid fields that you're seeing here. So a prompt always needs to open with the role of the agent. So we're telling it you are a marketing operations analyst at a large brand. Without that instruction, the model is going to reason rather generically. And so while this may seem kind of trivial, it actually helps to focus the type of reasoning that the agent's doing. Next, we're going to tell it exactly what to do. So we're saying that your job is to classify the incoming campaign requests by channel type, and that you're going to do this by looking at the campaign description and the target audience field very carefully. And you're going to return exactly one category from the list below. And then the really important thing here is to tell it return only the category name, no explanation, no punctuation, no anything else. So this gives it no creative license. It has to find what matches best, and it's based on the categories that we've outlined here. Now you'll see that these categories happen to correspond exactly to what we have written in our options that have the color, and that's important. There's also a note in here about if this fits more than one category, choose the one that best describes it. Okay, so this is a well-written prompt. And the final thing is to tell it, since it's supposed to look at the campaign description field and the target audience field, we need to tell it which fields those are. Okay, it can't just know that information. And the way that you do that in Airtable is if you put a little curly bracket into the editor there, it will come up with all of your fields. And we're saying campaign description is this campaign description field. In target audience is this target audience field. So these are now tagged. It understands which fields those are, and we can now save this prompt. Okay, We're going to go ahead and test this. I have a couple of submission prompts that are ready, some submissions. So I'm going to go into the form and we can submit those. So let's go ahead and I'll just make it so we've got a couple of fields here actually. Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to keep this. This is where they're coming. Okay, I'm going to delete the blank records. So when we submit via the form, something's going to come into here. And the form that we're going to be using is right here. And we'll go ahead and just publish this so that we can use the form. Okay, so this is all good. One other thing I want to do just really quick is I'm going to remove that. Okay, now I'm going to just fill out my name. Some of this other stuff for like launch deadline, the agent that we're looking at now doesn't really care about that. The agent we're looking at now just cares about target audience, campaign description. So I'm just going to fill those out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste our information here. So there's our campaign description, which is a lot of just different info that we're giving it. And then we've got a target audience. So I'll go ahead and submit that and let's see how it's classifying that as it comes in. So you'll see here it is. And it's classified it as paid social, which is correct based on the information. Okay. This is promoted posts on Instagram and TikTok for Q3 product launch. So it inferred that based on how we've trained it. And let's try another one just to see what that's like. So we'll submit another response. Here. Okay, that gets submitted in the system. You see it's working. And this one has been labeled as content SEO. Let's see if we could understand why. We need to build out the blog content strategy for the next quarter, long form articles. And so it's correctly identified and classified the request type based on our instructions there. So those are two completely different briefs that had completely different outputs based on how we created the request type classifier. Okay, so this is the foundation of our entire campaign build for field agents. Now, we have created the first field agent, which classifies based on the campaign description and target audience, gives us a request type. The base template for this is linked in the description, so you can start looking at that and playing around with that there. In the next video, we're going to go deep on what makes or breaks these field agents, which is how the prompt is designed and implemented. And we're going to really look at what is that formula within how a prompt is created in order to give you a super reliable and fast output. This will help you to write really well-structured prompts every single time and get the results you're looking for from your Airtable field agents. So thanks for spending time with me. Subscribe if you want the whole series. This is the first video of 4, and I will see you in the other videos.